Most musicians are inspired by some of the great performers that they saw in their youth. The list can be endless.
First inspirations purely come from listening initially to music and then got to see it. And once you see it live as a young'un anyway, because like I say, most of the lads I was hanging around with at school, they didn't get the chance to go and see a band live until they were well up. I was seeing bands when I was like 10, you know, and at that time to go to the City Hall and see a band at 10, you're just blown away, you're just totally taken in by it. Obviously that's just a natural progression because then you end up around the hotels.
The City Hall in '76 first tour knocked me head off.
When I went to see Deep Purple that night at the City Hall, all I ever wanted to do from there on was really be involved in music.
The inspiration then creates the urge to want to learn how to play a musical instrument and hopefully emulate their musical heroes.
My brother happened to have a guitar or a pinch to his room, started to try a little bit, oh God, I can play this. He on one string, eventually it leads to a band, you know, 4 lads getting together, which we did.
And then just buying a cheap bass and just rehearsing and plugging away in tunes.
The next stage is meeting up with like-minded people and going on to actually being in a band.
I formed a band with Barry Hopper and we started rehearsing in a garage.
And we used to rehearse at Trinity House Youth Club.
Tiny Youth Club, as was. In the weights room we used to rehearse in the back of there.
We had a little covers band which we used to just practice in St Peter's Youth Club.
The beginnings of any band's career will date back to their first gigs, often played in local pubs, clubs and youth centres.
How you doing?
You're playing the amphitheatre, down Shields.
Let's see your hands in the air, come on!
In front of, can I say, probably one of the biggest crowds that's been down there. Council wouldn't give us the lights, so it was an absolute disaster halfway through the gig because it was dark. And no one could see you. But prior to that gig is quite like light, it's bright. Everyone was like, oh yeah, and we're doing songs like Nostradamus, Punch It Out and all that. And I just think we had a little bit of catchiness about them and people were getting drawn into them and the fireworks and we had sort of like, you know, the stage was pretty good at that time.
Come on!
Well, I mean, Joe's like the unpaid roadie, but he's the roadie you just like, it's just unbelievable what effort he's putting in for now, you know. And I get blown up at the gig, you know. And I remember going into the Rattler after it, and he was standing there and he had, his coat was bont, the whole top of it was fringed up. He had no eyebrows left or anything. Like when you see on the Pink Panther.
Oh, when it goes over.
Aye, like proper like cruise over, it's all made up, isn't it? It's all sketch work and all that. That was what it was like.
There's plenty of bands who were doing original music at the time that could have gotten further.
We actually promoted a couple of our own gigs locally at Bolden Lane, at the community centre in Bolden Lane.
What happened was we started doing some gigs with a band called Mithra.
And we actually invited Helen back to support us on that.
And we blew them off every time, may I add.
I mean, Helen back got a reasonable reaction.
It was incredible, but
when Mithra walked on stage, the place just erupted really, because it was Mithra that they were there to see.
we definitely blew them off.
Things like playing Middlesbrough at Town Hall, which was probably the biggest gig I'd done, and you feel cool as out because you're actually doing something like the City Hall, you know, which is where you...
Remember the other bands that were playing then?
Wolfsbane was headlining it, which were just on and up and coming. He went on to sing for Iron Maiden, didn't he, for a few years, Blaze Bailey. And I remember they wouldn't allow anywhere near the dressing room or a support band. I was like, how are you? Just start, you know, you were just trying to introduce yourself to them people and get in with them with a click, you know. And the sound guy was going, give us 50 quid and I'll get you a good sound. I was like, well, I haven't got 50 quid, man. It's took our bus fare to get up to Middlesbrough, man. And he's going, give us 50 quid, I'll get you a sound on the Twiddlers. And I'm like, honestly, I was like, I need more guitar in the morning. I was just bad. It was ridiculous, you know, but that's that life, isn't it? That's that cutthroat life. We didn't have a manager on out, man. We were just doing it all off our own backs.
When the songs were written and gigged, the next step was to get them recorded. Local recording studios made demo tapes and self-financed EPs a much more viable option.
And I didn't really know where to take it next. I was waiting for somebody to come knocking on the door and say, great stuff, lads, here's a contract. And I thought that's all you had to do.
Obviously, the record deal is the holy grail, but there's plenty bands got piles of "We regret to inform you" letters.
As That Sounds was the first, I think the first tape we'd done. But you know what it is? I was such a perfectionist that I wouldn't send a photo away to a record company because I didn't think I looked right. I wouldn't send a demo tape we'd just done because I didn't think it quite sounded right. I didn't want the letter back going, we don't want this, you know.
Some of the shows that we did at that time are some of the best shows that, as far as I'm concerned, that happened in Newcastle at the time. We played with Raven at the Hofbräu House. We played with Raven at the Mayfair. I mean, we played the Mayfair ourselves. Sunderland, Mecca. And I mean, these places were going crazy.
But as local band goes, I don't think, and you know, again, I hold my hand up to this, but I don't think there's many people who come close to what I tried to get the band I was in to do. And that's outside of music, like stage presence. I really tried very hard to look the professional as we could. Would renting a PA, which most people do, but they don't go to the fact of dressing up and putting a stage on. We did. We had bombs going off. Fair enough, we blew people up. But the whole point was, the whole point was, well, the top club when we're setting on fire, unbelievable. I mean, the chairman's going, "Buck's going hard," and we're like, "Put it out, Marshall," and he's going. I mean, to think that now, people must be looking, going, "You're having a laugh." He was like, point when it blew up on his arm, he caught fire, got it out. I mean, Paul's bandana, Porter's catching fire. A light, man. He was a light on stage.
First song opened up one of our own songs, Time After Time, and you know, when the band comes in together, there's like a 15-second jerb from either side of the stage. Excellent effect with sparks. But at the time I was growing my hair longer and I was wearing a bandana, and the sparks set the bandana alight. I didn't know, and I could just see people in the audience kind of going, "Whoa," you know, and then I think Gav was spitting on us or something to try and put us out, and then I felt the heat and of course whipped it off and stamped it out and carried on singing.
I mean, you see that in the movies, you know, and you know, you just go, what are you doing? And actually, I remember the final time, which was at Temple Park Leisure, and someone come along and goes, "What's this?" And I says, "Well, it's what pyro, you know." No. You cannot set pyro off in here, you know. We're in the biggest hall we ever played in, right? I mean, you could set a bomb off in there and that would happen. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, they brought the fire brigade, man. Honestly, no, you can't use that, sons. No, none of that. And then you start to realise that you're thinking, God, that's in a big space. And we were doing this, honestly. I mean, the Cyprus Hotel, that was outrageous when we set them gerbs off in there. I mean, it literally... it was just sparks everywhere. And then when Paddy went down the yards and he got the ship flares and we set them off at CMU Centre, remember that? It filled that gym up in 5 seconds flat. No one could see anything. It was just smoke. And there was a geek glare and I was going, "Paddy, put them out." He was going, "I can't put them out. I don't know how to." They would just go, boom, keep red light at the bottom of them. Ship flares, you know.
I think the highlight really for me was probably getting a hold of that first recording. So it started with listening to the recording when it's played back in the studio. Wow, was that us? Is that really us? That's absolutely fantastic, that.
It was just the pure, we wanted to impress, you know. Look at us, we're massive, we're huge. And we did, you know, we were at the time, but...
Liberty was formed basically on the tail end of Mandora, who is a band that me and Duncan Binney were in together.
The band Mandora had evolved by the end of the 80s with a couple of lineup changes and now renamed Liberty.
just cut the demo and everything was just, you couldn't ask for any more. And then in the background though, the band was just, there was a little bit of friction going on. Everyone was just, we're doing fantastic stuff, but we're just not quite getting on.
Liberty was a great band. I enjoyed every second of it, as was Mandora. But obviously every band has its highs and its lows.
And Paul and Gav were probably the worst. And
me and the bass player Gav were basically maybe a little bit too rock and roll.
Went down to practice this one night, and you know everything was looking up like I say, and we're starting to do more gigs than we've ever done. And just 1, 2 words, 3 words, argument, you know. And then it settled down and argument again. And then by the end of the session, it was like, right, I'm old. I've had enough of this crap, you know.
You know, rock stars before we had even been anywhere, done anything.
And I can't remember, it was Paul or Gav who said it first, they went out there. And of course, it broke up at that point. And where normally, like I say, I would try to fix that. Every time I fixed it, you know, I would fix it, you know. But I just think at that time, I just came out, got in the van, sought solace, you know, in the old condensed windows, you know, I mean, freezing, you know, and I was like, I've done 10 years of picking up carbs, going to this, doing that.
I've enjoyed every band I've been part of, but the likes of Liberty is and was something very special, you know. Again, doing original material and going down well at most places we played, and you know, at that time just trying for the ultimate success, just trying to chase the goal, and Liberty was all about that, you know. I mean, every band ends for whatever reason, but you know, memories you can never take away, simple as that, and Liberty will always be a very fond memory.
We were good enough. We still think we were good enough. I don't want that to sound big-headed, but you've got to have confidence in your own ability, and we've all got confidence in the songs that we've got, and it should and could have been something better.
Still playing, making a living and having a great time. Basically, it's still me love, and I still love to play.
I mean, he was bringing electric fires out, right? Well, War on One. I mean, you just wouldn't use them anyway.
We're not going to use that bit.
So, what?
Not going to use them bits where he's...
Oh, nicking stuff, right? Okay, then, right, okay. Is there enough? I'd say that.
I'm just wondering if people will see me prompt, you know.
Oh, no. See that.
Right, okay.
I think it would have been a neat thing.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Brilliant, yeah.
No matter what level bands play to, they will have fond memories that they will cherish forever.
Enjoy yourself, that's what it's about. If you don't enjoy it, you waste your time.